So this one is about all of the new ways, well, they're not really new, the ways that climate change can kill us. So if you're like most people, me, for a while I was thinking, okay, climate change, the oceans are going to rise. They say that maybe they're going to be more storms, increased frequency of that. People are going to be driven from their homes. And then of late, I heard that the temperature of certain places is just going to be so hot that it's going to be difficult for people to live there comfortably. People are probably going to move. And I thought, okay, well, that sounds like it's the extent of it. And then I've read other articles where they were saying that, we should focus on more important things than climate change, because there are more important things than climate change. And for a while there, I was thinking, you know what? That's right. This other person might have a good point of view, But then, of late, last couple weeks, months or so, what happened is there's a tree. Well, one of the trees that we have, it died maybe a year ago, a couple years ago. And I realized, wait a minute. This tree that died is the latest of a number of trees in the neighborhood that have just spontaneously died. Like the neighbor's tree spontaneously died. Like, actually not one of the neighbor's trees spontaneously died. Two of the neighbor's trees spontaneously died. These are different neighbors, different trees. And I realized, wait a minute, this other tree that we have, it seems like it's not doing so well. A lot of the leaves are going yellow. And this is something that, is common. And these are different kinds of trees, completely different kinds of trees, and they're dying. And then I search my memory and I think, but wait, when I was a kid, some of these trees that are dying, that are having problems, that are not producing fruit, it wasn't like this. It was not like this at all. We used to have a lot of fruit that was coming from these trees, really good, productive trees. And when I look around the neighborhood, I'm seeing, wait a minute, this dying that I'm seeing other trees that seem to have similar symptoms, where the leaves are turning yellow and falling off. And a while back I realized that, hey, there's a tomato tree that we have, and it was growing well. I'd sprayed it with some insecticide. A bunch of tomatoes came out. And that's when I realized that there were insects that I couldn't even see, that were affecting how the tomatoes were bearing. And then the tomato tree just dried up. And I was like, what is this? I Googled it and I found out about fungicide. And I tried it and I realized, okay, well, these trees are growing better because of it. These tomato trees. And then I realized, wait, let me try it on these other trees. And I'm like, wait a minute, these other trees are growing better too. Like, the green leaves, shoots are coming out, they're flowering better. I actually get fruit that doesn't, turn black and fall off the tree. And I'm like, wait a minute, all of these different varieties of trees seem to be threatened by fungal activity, by attacks. And I'm thinking, that didn't used to happen when I was younger. And it, one of the things that you hear about is that the environmental range, the habitat of many plants and animals are going to shift because of climate change. But these plants and animals, they don't know that it's shifting. They don't know what direction. Ocean currents may shift as well. And in the interim, while this shift is occurring, if these plants and animals are going to adapt, there are going to be losses, big losses for different plants and animals, and different diseases like funguses, whereas they would have found living to be, a borderline activity, they might find that, whoa, this is a lot better now. I like this. And funguses can attack oh so many more trees. And we're not hearing about it happening in our food supply chain outside of my experience. But isn't that a serious possibility that a huge number of pests like mosquitoes, like rats, like parasites, like funguses, like all of these different things might like the new temperature of the world better? And, we think that we are controlling them with pesticides and rodent poisons and whatever else. But what happens when there is not as much snow in Florida and more mosquitoes breed? Or even in summer, it's just warmer all the way up to Canada, and more mosquitoes can breed up there. And, the temperature is better for even some invasive species in the US and around the world. I think that a lot of us are thinking that it's just going to get hotter and there are going to be more storms. That's really what it's going to be. Maybe some coral reefs will get bleached, which is another thing. If coral reefs get bleached and they die off and they are the nurseries of all of this food that we reap from the oceans, that means we're probably not going to be able to get as much food from the oceans. Fish, if it's plants, algae, whatever, not algae, like seaweed, I guess, kelp. Because, they like the cold waters off of, I think it's California is one instance. Then a lot of people are going to find that their food supply is going to be interrupted. And I'm thinking, this is beyond new diseases like HIV and the current pandemic and the others that came about. This is beyond that. A lot of plants and animals are going to find that they can't survive. And a lot of other plants and animals are going to find that it's really their heyday, that conditions are perfect for them. And a lot of those that find that conditions are perfect for them are probably not going to be ones that we would like to proliferate. And I think that it's gonna hurt. I'm sure that most of the people who are listening to this, or if you ever listen to it, it's probably not going to affect us because we're probably going to be dead. But definitely, billions and billions of people are going to find it really hard to live. And it's not just going to be about the temperature. It's going to be about water supplies that are threatened, because snow is not going to fall in the Himalayas and send water all the way down. The same problem that California was having with respect to its water supply that was presumed to be as a result of less snowfall. It's going to be less food, as the oceans are, some of the fishes there, their reproductive cycles are broken, and there's going to be more mosquitoes around because they're going to like the heat. There's probably going to be a lot more ticks, giving us Lyme disease and whatever else. There's probably going to be organisms that we didn't even think about that are probably going to be around a lot more. And maybe when they went to a different shore, they found that it was a little bit too cold there for their liking, so they could never get a foothold. But now as things start to warm up, they might say, oh, this habitat is pretty good. Let's see what we can do here. And there's going to be a lot of productive plants and animals, again, the oceans, and maybe just wheat, maybe millet, maybe garbanzo beans and beef and cows and chickens. Maybe they might start dying because they can't take the heat. And the prices of, keeping them at a reasonable temperature, it might have to go up. And there might be more parasites. And I really, really think that before it even gets too hot, billions and billions of people are probably going to die. And that's probably going to happen long before the water level even reaches, a meter higher than it is right now. And long before there are these super storms that we see in the Atlantic and the Pacific and wherever else. And maybe long before people start running out of water. I think there's a lot of things that will just pop up that we did not foresee and hurt a lot of people. And it's probably going to be at a point where it's too late, maybe for many people. I just thought that I would share what I noticed happening on a small scale in the area that I live in. And that's it for me.